All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to deconstruct Arduino. It's this amazing and surprisingly simple platform that lets you take an idea, just a spark in your brain, and turn it into a real physical electronic gadget that you can actually hold in your hand. So, have you ever had one of those clever ideas, for a custom gadget or maybe a smart home device or even an interactive piece of art, but you hit that wall? You start thinking, how on earth could I actually build that? Well, the answer, most of the time, is giving your idea a brain. And that's exactly where our journey begins.
It's a really simple way to think about it. If you're building something out of wood, you grab a hammer. It's the essential tool, right? Well, in the world of custom electronics, that fundamental tool, that's Arduino. There's a reason it's become the absolute go-to starting point for makers, artists, and engineers everywhere.
Now, to really get how Arduino works, you only need to understand one core concept. I mean it. Every single electronics project, it doesn't matter how complicated it seems, it really just boils down to three parts: things that sense the world, things that act on the world, and the brain that connects them.
Okay, so first up, we have inputs. Think of these as your project's senses. They're the parts that gather information from the physical world around them. So, a temperature sensor feeling the heat, a button detecting a press, a light sensor measuring how bright it is. These are basically the eyes and ears of your device.
And then, on the flip side, you've got the outputs. These are the parts that actually do stuff, that take action. They're the hands and the voice of your project. An output could be something simple like an LED lighting up, or a motor spinning, or even a speaker making a sound. They're how your device actually affects the world around it.
And the piece that connects these two, the final crucial part, that's the brain. On an Arduino, we call this the microcontroller. It's a tiny little computer right there at the heart of the board. And its job is super simple, really. It reads the signals coming from the inputs, thinks about them based on instructions you give it, and then tells the outputs what to do. It is the decision maker. So, you're ready to start building. What do you actually need to get your hands on? Well, getting started is way simpler than you might think. It really just comes down to three key things that make up the whole Arduino ecosystem.
First, there's the physical board itself. That's the hardware. Second, you've got the Arduino IDE, which is just some free software you put on your computer. And third, something called a sketch, which is the special name Arduino gives to the code that makes your whole project come alive. Let's talk about the board. It's this little circuit board, and its most important feature is that microcontroller we talked about, the brain. Now, there are a ton of different Arduino boards out there, kind of like how a car company sells trucks, sedans, and SUVs. But for anyone just starting out, the Arduino Uno is the one. It's the perfect all-purpose model to begin with. The second part is the IDE. That stands for Integrated Development Environment. But don't worry about that. All you need to know is that it's a simple and totally free program you download. This is your digital workshop. It's where you'll write out all the instructions for the board's brain. And finally, we have the sketch. Yeah, in the Arduino world, we don't really say programs. We say sketches. It's just a friendlier name for the set of instructions you write in that IDE. When you're done writing it, you just upload this sketch to the microcontroller, and bam, your project springs to life. So let's talk about the code for a second. This is where you create the logic that makes your project smart. And while the language is technically based on C++, Arduino does an amazing job of simplifying it. Trust me, it makes it incredibly accessible, even if you've never written a line of code in your life. Check this out. Every single Arduino sketch is built around two basic parts. First, there's a function called setup. This bit of code runs only once, right when the board powers on. It's for all your initial setup stuff, like telling the board, hey, this pin right here, that's going to be for an LED. Then you have the loop function. This is the heart and soul of your project. The code inside loop just runs over and over and over again, forever, constantly checking your inputs and updating your outputs. And the code itself, it really isn't as scary as it looks. You might see a command like digital write, LED pin, high, and think it looks super cryptic. But all it is a very specific instruction. You're just telling the brain, find the pin I connected my LED to, and send it a high voltage signal, which is about 5 volts, to turn it on. In plain English, it just means turn the light on. See? Simple. Okay, now we get to the part where Arduino becomes truly revolutionary. See, with Arduino, you never have to start from zero. And that's because the entire platform is built on this powerful idea of open source collaboration. So what does open source actually mean? Well, it means the blueprints for the hardware and all the official software are completely free for anyone to use, to modify, and even to build upon. Before Arduino came along, this was basically unheard of. The electronics world was all about expensive, closed-off systems. By making everything open, Arduino just blew the doors wide open for innovation and created this massive, incredible ecosystem.
But the real magic, the absolute secret sauce of this whole open source universe, is libraries. A library is just a bundle of code someone else already wrote that handles all the complicated details for you. The analogy is perfect. You don't need to be a mechanic to drive a car. You just turn the key. Libraries are that key. They let you control incredibly complex hardware with just a few simple commands.
And this is where the possibilities just explode. With the right libraries, which, by the way, are almost always free, you can unlock some unbelievable potential. You want to build a robotic arm? Oh yeah, there's a library for that. A personal weather station? There are libraries for every sensor you can possibly imagine. From wild, interactive light displays to the guts of a homemade drone, the community has already done all the heavy lifting for you. So you see, Arduino isn't just a piece of hardware. It's a key. It's an accessible entry point into this huge world of electronics, and it's powered by a global community that loves to share its knowledge and tools for free. It's a platform that literally hands you the power to electrify your ideas. So the only real question left is, what will you create?